Oh yeah, it's double. Double organic.
We're gonna get started. Good evening. My name is Michael Kuipers. On behalf of the Western Ontario Vegan Society, thank you very much for coming this evening. Before we begin, I would like to thank our executive team and Animal Liberation Alliance London for helping to make this event a success. Harold Brown is the founder of FarmKind and an advocate for social and environmental justice. His amazing story is one of transformation from animal farmer to vegan animal advocate. He was born and raised on a cattle farm in south central Michigan and spent over half his life in agriculture, including 3 years in the dairy industry. Harold is featured in the award-winning film Peaceful Kingdom: The Journey Home. He also works as an advocate for animal rights, sustainable independent family farms, and peace through nonviolence. It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce Harold Brown. Please give him a warm welcome.
I would say the role of animals and the exploitation of animals in our economy is more similar to what slavery was to the southern U.S. It's not similar to what slavery was to Great Britain. Now, to change that took a war. So, what's it going to take to really change, it here? What are the chances that we are going to make those changes, where we're going to have large-scale change regarding animal exploitation?
Well, actually, slavery in the United States is something I've studied a lot. And there's another way to look at this, which I'm going to tie in something what's your name? Mark. Something that Mark mentioned, which I think is pertinent to this. The United States slavery, it was a labor-based economy in the South. The North was full tilt into the Industrial Revolution. The South didn't buy into it. So there were two economic systems. The war was as much about how the clash between two. A lot of historians now think it was a relief valve for the clash of two economic engines. One was antiquated, one was on the forefront of leading into the 20th century. Now, the Industrial Revolution went out. Okay. Perhaps the shift over to not just tofu, seitans, and things like that, but over to in vitro meat is going to be the engine behind that. That is going, the industrial engine behind that is going to make that change to where, it may, I'm just thinking out loud, but it may very well be the thing we need. On the other hand, it's such a deep hole for us to dig ourselves out of. And I'll tell you why. Because where does our indoctrination come from? I mentioned before, we're all members of a herding culture, even though you haven't farmed. But going back arguably 8,000 to 10,000 years ago, and now new archaeological evidence say it might go as far back as 20,000 years, humans first domesticated animals and plants. Okay, we know for certain that it goes back at least 8,000 to 10,000 years in Mesopotamia, which is now Iran. That's where animals were first domesticated and bred. Plants were starting to be selectively bred or hybridized. And our first cultivars showed up. Well, there came a point in history, and you can read about this in a really good book a friend of mine wrote. His name is Dr. Will Tuttle. It's called The World Peace Diet. And there came a point in history called the Axial Age. The Axial Age was like this 300-year period in human history where these teachers, these moral teachers showed up in the world. There was Gautama Buddha, there was Jesus, there was Muhammad, Mahavira. And they all showed up in this window of time. And in that part of the world, these people needed to understand what, if you've ever read Joseph Campbell, he talks about the power of story, and our mythos, the story that these cultures decided to make as groups, was profound. Some groups decided to invest into herding culture and said, this is what we're going to do. This will be the base of our economies. This is how we're going to, will be the indices of our wealth. Other cultures didn't. Okay, when we think about that, who didn't? The Buddhists, the Jains, the Hindus, the Taoists. But who did? The Jews, the Muslims, the Christians. It's funny how it falls down religious line. The Abrahamic traditions invested into herding culture. Now that gets into a whole, and the others didn't. That gets into another conversation about what happened to our cultural stories as that evolved. The disempowerment of the feminine, the disempowerment of children, the shift from some cultures were more matriarchal than patriarchal, and went to patriarchy because of animal agriculture. That gets into a whole other talk there. But I can make a cogent argument that every problem we have in the world comes from agriculture. Think of it this way. You didn't have crime in the world until you had personal property. And you didn't have personal property until you started to cultivate plants. Now you had fields, you had property, land, and you had to protect it. You had grain stores that you had to protect from your neighbor or from nomadic people, because a good bit of the population was still nomadic. And as they're traveling, you're saying, oh wow, look at those people, and they got these big grain bins. Wow, there's some easy picking. Why don't we go over and take some? Or maybe they'll sell us some. So there are people like Joseph Campbell said, you didn't have war until you had personal property. It isn't too hard to figure out.
Oh yeah, it's double organic. Did you know I offer raw food coaching? Comment, like, share, and subscribe. Got epic recipes, fitness, and raw food motivation. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. Whoa, look at all those recipes. Those look tasty. Give me some of that. I'm proud to announce the release of my free raw recipe app. Do you want over 100 original raw food recipes in the palm of your hand? Click the links to download or search Double Organic on your phone.